Cal Ripken Jr., the Major League Baseball analyst for TBS. Did you played basketball in high school, didn't you?
I only played my freshman year.
But you're good in basketball, from what I'm told.
I was pretty good, yeah.
Could you play college ball?
I think I could have.
Well, expound upon the answers here, Cal. I mean, come on. Are you on a word count right now? Is that what's going on here?
No, not
okay.
at all.
Okay.
I was just trying to think.
Like Maryland? Could you have gone to the University of Maryland?
I think I probably could have, yes.
Who plays like you?
I was competing with a lot of guys that played. The real quick story is, I played as a freshman, and I wasn't starting. I was smaller too, and then I got recruited away in a soccer program, and then never came back to basketball. But I love basketball the most, and I played against all the guys that went on to play college, and they look at me the same way. How come you're not playing?
Hold on for a second. We're going to check your phone there. Fritzy was supposed to do that when we started. Yes, Paul.
Cal Ripken, the great Cal Ripken, just take my 5 good seconds for the week?
Yeah, I'm going to count that. I'm going to count that as your 5 good soccer seconds there.
Kind of cool.
All right, Cal, you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. All right. You got a better phone line there?
It's the same phone line, and it's a landline. I'm always very sensitive about that because cell phones are too unpredictable. So I'm sorry about that.
No, it's probably on our end there. So I'm sorry about that. Fritzy should never question you, and I think he feels bad about that. But you gave up basketball to play soccer. Soccer had to help you with baseball.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, looking back, it taught you about balance and different movements because you couldn't use your hands. And so just think about balancing yourself to kick a soccer ball left-footed or right-footed and moving back and forward. I think it really helped my overall athleticism and my agility. Didn't do bad for Akeem Olajuwon either. I
know. I just mentioned that being a soccer player, he was almost like a point guard playing center with his athleticism.
It was amazing his athleticism at his size and his balance and the way that he could pivot and move and change pivot feet and dunk.
Well, that's all I wanted to talk to you about with soccer, so I appreciate you coming on, Cal.
Thank you. Okay. Next time we'll talk a little badminton.
No. I'll keep you on for a little while longer. I wanted to ask you about, you had the Heat on a winning streak, but you were on a team with a losing streak to start the season. Are they both contagious? That here are the Heat trying to keep their winning streak alive with the game tonight against the Bucks. When you guys started, I don't know how long ago it was. Would you lose, like 19 in a row?
21. 21. Yep.
But how contagious is it in a negative way as opposed to a positive way with a winning streak?
Well, given my druthers, I think I'd be in the Heat's position rather than the Orioles of '88 position. There is a downward spiral you can get into, and you start thinking that things are going to go wrong as opposed to being confident that things are going to go right. So a winning streak is exactly the opposite. Ball seems to bounce your way. You get the breaks. You don't worry. And then when you're losing, it seems like you think about things more, try not to make the mistake in which you do make the mistake. And it is contagious in some ways, and it's amazing when you get that one win, how it can take the whole lift off your shoulders.
But that winning streak, too, that feeling, is it invincibility?
Well, in some ways, you know that it can't go on forever, but you're going to ride it out just like you do an individual hot streak. You don't try to figure it out. You don't try to analyze it. You don't try to think about it. You just try to go with the flow and continue to execute and play. And then one day you go out there and you get beat, and then it'll put things back into perspective again. But I always thought just try to ride it out and continue to play almost in a mindless sort of way. Just let it happen.
He's Cal Ripken Jr. joining us, Dan Patrick Show. There's a little bit of talk of this. I think it's going to start to escalate a little bit, and that is, does baseball eventually adopt the designated hitter for both leagues? Since you have this realignment in the Astros and interleague play, what would you think of doing that for the National League?
Yeah, I would think that that's going to happen. I think that you need to have the same set of rules in both leagues. And since the DH has been in the American League, and I've seen the DH all this time, I value that position as a hitter. And I know that the National League guys would say it's old school, we like the differences and those sorts of things. But if you are going to have interleague play, and you are going to start to realign, and the playoff structure is going to be the way it is, you got to have a more balanced, fairer schedule, where you can't let you play against the same division unfairly, or even interleague play. You end up playing in one particular year a team that's a first-place team, and then a team you're battling for a playoff spot is playing a lesser interleague schedule. That's not fair.
But why haven't we had the National League adopt it?
Why haven't we?
Yeah.
I think it was very close in the beginning. I don't know what the story was, but somebody wasn't available for a vote. It was going to get voted on both sides, and then because they couldn't find someone for a vote, the National League kept that side. And I don't know. Then there was differences in the two leagues, and the purist baseball person will say, there's a role for a pitcher, in the league as a hitter and a bunter. But I think the game's evolved. I would just assume like to see the DH in both leagues.
If you look at what the Angels have done, you bring together, that's pretty good lineup with Trout and Pujols and Hamilton. How does it go wrong for you if you have those kind of stars, those hitters in the lineup?
Well, they don't hit. I think in some ways, you look at the Miami Marlins last year and then maybe even look at the Toronto Blue Jays this year, and you say, okay, it looks like you really improved your team on paper. You brought a lot of star players in. How come it didn't work in Miami? And then you'd have to go back and look at the individual performances. But just because you bring some talent together, you still have to play as a team and you still have to execute. And I still think the confidence level is even fragile for a player that's been established. If you start to get into a bad groove or you get off to a bad start or you're a closer and you can't find it in the first month, your season can be affected by that. And then we talked about the downward spiral of being on a loser. There's a lot of other things that happen that cause you to continue to lose. So I don't know. I mean, the hardest part of being an analyst now is when someone says, who's going to win? Predict who's going to win. I'm going, the only thing you can say out of spring training, honestly, is do you have a playoff caliber team? And then the rest of it is decided in the 162 schedule.
But you're trying to handicap. It's like the Yankees now. They got injuries. By the way, they didn't call you, did they? Because they called Chipper Jones and Derek Lee. And we talked to Chipper yesterday, and he said he has no interest in coming out of retirement. I didn't know if the Yankees called you.
No, Chipper makes sense. He's just a year out, and but I'm 11 or 12 years out. I'm not an option.
But if you're looking at the Yankees and trying to handicap how good they're going to be, when you have these injuries, you got Jeter just coming back, Mariano Rivera coming back, you got the guys who are already out, how can you predict the...
Well, you can't, and I would say that they're more susceptible. In the past, they've been more of a sure playoff team, and I'd say that they're an iffy playoff team right now. But you can't discount the fact that they have star players, they have experienced guys, their pitching's going to be good. I mean, you keep wondering, how Mariano is going to do, compared to Mariano of old. I mean, there's some ifs right now, and they did make some changes. They did lose Nick Swisher, who did provide quite a bit of punch in that lineup. So they still have their stars, and I still expect them to compete. And you can make a case for them that they can win the American League East, but I think you can make a case for every one of the other teams in the American League East that they can win it too.
Explain to us, put us in the batter's box. Rivera's on the mound, ninth inning, and you go to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what's coming, right?
Yes. A cutter's coming.
Okay.
And in the time that I was facing, it was going to be about 95 miles an hour, and it was going to look like it was coming down one part of the plate, and at the very end it was going to slide. And to what degree it's going to slide is the issue. Sometimes it's very big, big being 6 or 8 inches. Sometimes it might be just a couple inches, but you can't be sure, and you have to anticipate. And he has pinpoint control. He can throw it on the inside corner, the outside corner, and then he raises it up in the strike zone. So it's not just one pitch. You don't know exactly where it's coming, but it's a very it happens so fast and it moves so late. It's the darndest thing to stand there and try to hit, to be honest with you. And I can't explain how someone with basically one type of pitch can just dominate the way he did. But nothing affects Mariano. He's as cool as he can be on the mound in the highest pressure situation. He still maintains his absolute best control, and his control is phenomenal.
What are you doing with transitions?
Well, my eyes went bad. I found out in the broadcast booth that I couldn't see the notes that were being pushed in front of me. So I went to the doctor, and he recommended transition lenses for me. In particular, this lens called the Vantage lens that can stay clear indoors, but then automatically darken and polarize when you go outside. So I started because I had a need, and I needed glasses, I started a partnership with Transitions, because I really liked that they were really encouraging kids to go get regular eye exams. And I didn't know this, but 1 out of 4 kids have an undiagnosed vision issue that affects their ability to read and learn. And that struck me. We go to the doctors pretty regularly, but we really don't go to the eye doctor. I did because I was a part of a team, and they required you to get eye exams every year. But most of the time you don't go unless you feel like you have a problem. So, my job is to help encourage parents to make sure that their kids get regular eye exams so they can learn and they can read.
Good stuff. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
And, we'll talk as we get closer to the season. We appreciate it, Cal.
Yep, I thought we were going to talk a little World Baseball Classic, but because everybody has such a different opinion on whether that's good or not. I like that as well, but we'll save that for another time.
Well, you know what? When we're all in with the World Baseball Classic, then I'll be all in.
So you're someone that doesn't like it because nobody's committed to it?
Well, I understand the world, but we're not approaching it the same way the rest of the world does.
Yeah, it seems like we're much more conservative, and we don't want to get anybody hurt for the real season.
Yeah, I understand why you have nations that want to prove that they can play with us, and this is their chance on the national stage. I just don't think that the United States is all in. Until that, then I'm not going to be all in either. I mean, I'm watching it, but what's the highlight so far? A bench clearing brawl.
I've seen it a little differently. I've seen some exciting games. I've seen different players performing, for their country. Some of the younger stars in the league. I saw Adam Jones deliver a big hit against the Canadians, I think, to come from behind. So it was I see it a little differently.
Oh, we should be roughing up Canada. Come on, Cal.
Well, they have some really good players. I don't know if you've started to identify. They're good big league players that are playing for Canada. Joey Votto's not too bad.
All right. Don't make me sound anti-American, though, just because I'm not,
I just think the problem is that there's not a full commitment, I think, inside the player's head. They look at it a little bit more exhibition type than serious. And if you're really going to compete in March, you have to be in mid-season form. And I don't know the answer how you do it, but you got to prepare differently in the off-season so you can be sure that when you get to a big moment, if you're a pitcher, and you got to reach back for some extra in March, that you're not going to blow out.
Absolutely. Wouldn't you like to manage the United States team?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Maybe you should
Joe Torre's got a little bit more experience than I do.
Yeah, but he's ready to step aside. You could go in there and be the manager.
All right, put in a good word.
All right, I will. Okay, good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Dan.
Thank you, Cal. Cal Ripken Jr.